Used to be 11.
A fragment line filtration.
Yeah, so I need one.
That's recording. Yes, it's recorded.
I see that. Make it sound even more.
She's doing it. Yep, all right.
The reign of Steve.
For those of you who are new, I was the immediate past chair, and that's the way I always started these meetings.
Yeah.
Not more recent.
So we'll call this meeting to order. With that, we'll go ahead and introduce each and every one of us. As I said, my name is Steve Barbas. I am pinch hitting today for Rich, who has a medical appointment. I represent Ybor City Museum. We'll go ahead this way.
I'm David Bailey, representing Historic Ybor Neighborhood Civic Association.
I'm Chicken Rhodes, representing the Historic East Ybor and Gary Neighborhood Association.
Glenn Murphy with Silver Meteor Gallery at large.
Jack Smith, resident, member at large.
Olivia A, Storm Corporation at large.
Manny Calzone, board member of the Centro Asturiano.
I'm Larissa Bahia. I represent HCC Ybor.
Steve Navarro, Operations Supervisor, Ybor Yes Team.
Andrea White, Community Connectivity.
Bell, Ybor Chamber. Ken College, Tampa PD. Lieutenant Houston, Tampa PD.
Marshall Austin, member at large.
Brittany Berry, business owner, Berry House Beer Co. and unofficially the chamber representative,
So,
Ybor City Chamber.
Brenda, that's for you if she's
That's a
a.
question for you, Brendan.
Not yet,
Oh, just kidding.
but you're still on the board. You're
Yes.
still on the CSCS.
Yes, yes.
Chris Woodridge, full-time resident, historic Ybor and member at large.
Rich McIntyre, 1920, and McIntyre Business.
Guillermo Perez, co-owner of Marcalinas and local resident.
All right, who do we have on the line there?
Arnold.
Yes, sir,
Arnold?
Arnold. Yes, I'm here. Hi, guys.
Arnold Triba.
Okay. Public comment, is there any public comment? If not, we'll then move on to approval of minutes of the March 25th meeting. Any corrections, changes, or deletions to the minutes? If not, Chair will entertain a motion to approve the minutes. I need a motion.
Motion to approve.
All right, got it. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries.
Who seconded? I'm sorry.
Rich.
Rich. Oh, hi, Rich. Thanks. Thank you.
Community policing update.
Good afternoon. So in your packets, obviously you have our dashboard for grids 128, 129. Where the highlights went down in a lot of areas, but what I wanted to touch on is I just came from our district meeting and auto burglaries and auto thefts are up slightly, not just downtown and East Tampa, but also in Ybor. So there's been a couple in Ybor. I beg and beg and beg, please lock your cars, because out of probably 20 auto burglaries, 19 of them were, and then the 2 auto thefts were unlocked cars with the key fobs left inside the car. So all they do is, we have countless videos of people, just, all they do is they just pull door handles all day long until they find the car they want to get into. That's unlocked, and then rummage it, take what they want. If the key goes in there and starts, they're driving away in that car. Most of the time we're able to recover it, but you know, I don't think anybody wants their car taken for any period of time. So if you could just share that with everybody, with the residents and owners and their employees, that would help us out tremendously. We have a couple of people in mind that are committing these crimes. So as we, you know, identify them as a suspect, get probable cause for the arrest and incarcerate them, majority of them are juveniles, so they're not staying incarcerated for very long. We're lucky if we get them in for 21 days and they're back out committing the same crime. So after that, I'd like to introduce Carlos Houston. He was lieutenant in District 1 over by the stadium in South Tampa. We had a lieutenant that got promoted that went to District 1, and in return, we stole Lieutenant Houston from District 1. I truly think we got the better end of the deal, so I'm very happy to have Carlos here. He has time in District 3, very familiar with the area as a detective, so I'll just introduce him, and if you guys have any questions for me, I'm happy to answer them.
I was here 2 years ago. I did work Ybor. I was a sergeant in Ybor and I was a detective sergeant over here. So I've been gone for about a year and a half, so well, not too long. I'm pretty familiar with the area. So it's good to be back. Yeah.
Any other questions, comments?
Just trying to look something up real quick. Just came. I thought I had the folder. There's a gentleman's applying. He contacted the city and indicated that he wants to do a march in Ybor. I don't have the specific details. I will get that information to Brenda so she can share with the group. So at least everybody's aware of the date and time. He's looking at possibly 200 people and intend to obey all traffic laws, stay on the sidewalk, et cetera, et cetera. But still, at least if you have that knowledge before it happens, at least you can, adjust accordingly.
All right, thank you. Any other questions?
Right now, all the protests seem to be anti-Trump or pro-Palestinian.
Okay.
So it's, and there's some that what we're seeing is, if you haven't heard of the 50-51 movement, so we're getting those, most of those protests that we've had in the city are at City Hall. Our court at Curtis Dixon Park, we had one this past weekend that was in District 1 at a park, so it didn't really impact anybody over here, but what it is, groups are merging together. So the chants will go from, F Trump, and then it'll go to something else. And and we'll see different flags, and we'll do research to make sure there's no indicator of violence. But this group has been very cooperative. A great indicator I saw for the protest that we had on the Final Four weekend, we were expecting 500. After talking to the organizer, 1,200 plus showed up. But as I pulled into downtown, they were like 15 deep paying for parking in the parking lot. So I'm like, they're rule followers. I felt good about it. They stayed out of the roadway, they stayed out of the intersections, they waved their signs. They're out there for a few hours and they were home. So we support it. We support people being able to exercise freedom of speech as long as it's orderly and they're not breaking any laws. We're there to protect them just as much as, we worry also about counter protesters, and that really hasn't been an issue. But I'll get the information of Brenda so you guys know and what to expect, what we know, and I would share.
I saw something about Centennial Park on May 3rd. I don't know if that's what.
That's what I'm thinking. It's May 3rd. I think there's two. May 3rd is probably the earliest one. We're working on that. We'll have an increased presence from our department there. You may not see the officers because what we've found since 2016 is that sometimes these groups want an optic of law enforcement, and then they get you get those pictures, those still photos of protesters and police officers face to face, and all you need is an officer to yawn, and it looks like they're yelling at the protester. So we don't give them that optic. We'll stay probably more discreet, concealed, ready to respond. We have people available to do that, but if we send anybody out there, it's one or two, just to talk to the organizer and let them know that, hey, we're here to protect your freedom of speech. We're also protect you from counter protesters, but also enforce the law. So if any laws are broken, we will enforce them. So we really haven't had any issues with this group. This group that applied, they're doing it the right way. Technically, we probably have full permit to have a demonstration of that magnitude. But the city, and I don't think they're wrong by saying it's a freedom of speech issue. Just let them exercise their rights. So I don't anticipate any problems. You just may see people walking on the sidewalks in Ybor doing laps for a little while.
I had a quick question about that because I recall when we had more of the Black Lives Matter marches in the community that they actually I saw that TBD kind of helped facilitate them actually marching through the streets. Is
Right.
that something that we will see again or?
We've changed that,
Okay.
just because we've learned. It's also, it taxes us, right? So 2020, 2021, sometimes groups would split up and we'd be following them and shadowing them for a mile or two. And then we're in full uniform, we're in extra 20, 30 pounds of gear and they're not. And we realized it wasn't really helping the situation. It wasn't really facilitating anything. In our operation plan, it is explained to the incident commander that they're not to take the street. Like we do not condone or support them blocking a roadway. That will be dealt with swiftly. Now, if it's a small side street and there's no traffic on that side street and they want to stand there and take a few photos, we understand that as well, and we'll let that happen. And we'll block the ends of the roadways so that nobody drives into them. But major thoroughfares are no-go. One thing I think we're proud of here in Tampa is that all those protests that we saw in 2020 and since were the only major city where they were not able to shut down and look at access roadway, whether it be the crosstown or the interstates. And that's, you know, we got a good record there. We don't want to lose it. So, but yes. So yeah, we've shifted our tactics. In fact, we had a visit. I know I'm going on a little bit, but just so you can understand how we function and how we're recognized, the Police Executive Research Forum, which basically helps police departments with policy and tactics and best practices throughout the country, if not the world. They had a study done, and my chief gave it to me and said, read their study for protest and tell me, look at our policy and compare the two and let me know if we need to make any changes. And I read the 68-page document that PERC put out. We're already in place all of those 9 best practices, so much so that they came down to study us and interview everybody. They take that back as part of their bigger study that they're doing. So I think we got things, we're in a good spot. You know, things could change tomorrow, even later today, but yeah, we adjusted because we felt that was better for everybody involved.
Thank you.
I had a quick question with regard to the homeless liaison. I know you said at the last meeting it'd be citywide, but will we be getting any kind of reports periodically at our monthly meetings?
Yes, let me get with them because they were transferred out of our district
Right.
to headquarters.
Right.
So they have a different chain of command now.
Okay,
And what we're trying to do is expand it where right now we only have 2 full-time homeless liaisons for the police department. We're trying to make it so that we have officers that have it as a collateral assignment in addition to their, you know, everyday duties. So that's in the process now, just getting off the ground.
okay,
They're supposed to have training later this week together because there's a lot to it and there's a lot of resources I don't even know about. So it's hard to just drop an officer saying and tell them you're the homeless liaison with no education of instruction. So they're doing that training later this week, so they're better understanding what's available to them. And then, yeah, I'll be happy to,
okay.
you know, I ask for some patience because it's still an adjustment. And, you know, it was a lot easier for me when they're in my district to task them. Now it's a different chain of command, so I don't even see them on an everyday basis.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions or comments? All right, presentation, Central Ybor garage window improvements.
Oh, let me see. Need to get this up here. Sorry. About presentation. Okay. Got it. Right here. That's it. There it is. Okay, I think that may work for you. Yeah.
I'm Corey Robinson, Arts and Cultural Project Coordinator for the CRA. Last year, sorry for the delay. Last year, you guys asked me to look into the repairs on these Ybor, the Ybor garage window boxes. Good news, bad news. Good news is we didn't move on it right away, and the boxes really showed their true form. So that's the good news. Bad news is they're worse than they were when we first started talking about it. These pictures were taken actually before they even received more damage. Most of them are missing all their lighting. The ceilings are caving in, all the drywall needs to be replaced. There's mold, there's termites. So I did work with facilities and parking to get a quote to repair all these. We have a vendor that's done some repairs in the garage already with like some, with the new offices in there. Essentially, they have to remove all the expansion joints going vertically up all the walls, 6 floors up to stop the leaks. They thought they could just fix the second floor at one point, and they fixed like partially the second floor and it leaked again. And so those windows, they'll be repaired all the way around the building, all 15 of them. The 2 that HCC currently occupies are in good shape. We will be repairing above them so they never can experience the leaking. Because right now they're looking pretty good. The rest of the boxes will all be almost completely gutted, replaced with all new drywall, all new flooring, all new lighting. It'll have a UV tint put on the windows to prevent everything from fading, which has been an issue, and we can't be activating local agencies and art agencies and putting artwork in here and having it just fade out and like be responsible for that. So there is a little bit of UV protection on the window, I've been told so far. We're gonna add another layer. It'll just be clear, it won't be tinted or anything. It'll just be heat resistant more than anything else. Some venting will be installed too, because these windows are extremely hot, and even working inside them is a daunting task, especially in the hot months. Pretty much this is kind of like a rundown of like what's leaking, and so the cost of repairs is $90,000 for all the windows, prevent all the garage. We won't be doing the joints on the north side of the garage because there's no windows there. This will only cover the expansion joints on the above the actual windows that the CAC would like to see activated. So yeah, I'm here to recommend funding for $90,000 to fix these windows. Yeah.
Any questions?
All right.
So, obviously, it'd be great to get them prepared. I'm curious, is the city of Tampa parking, because they're collecting the parking revenue, are they gonna kick in any money to do the repairs?
As of right now, we've been working with them, but that hasn't been finalized. So there could be a chance that something might happen, but we also want to make sure that if we're handling it, then the project goes on our timeline. If we could be put on a list for parking to, for the city to repair it, and we don't know where that we might fall on that list. So there is we want to just make sure we're on like a good timeline, and it's like we're kind of in control of it,
Is there an advocate for the CRA, so that even if you fund the money in advance, maybe as it hits the timeline that it would have been placed under, you could recoup some of that money? Is there someone that negotiates on behalf of the CRA or no?
That would have to defer.
No, that was actually brought up at another meeting. Can we seek reimbursement? I have never seen that. And because at the end of the day, the money, TIFs grow and they all become general fund at some point anyway. So you may be kind of reimbursing yourself, but
Yeah.
Great question. It come up recently.
Answered like a true politician.
I want to echo that, and I look at these windows every day, 3 times a day, walking my dogs. But the fact that the parking department, who has more money than God, is not paying for this is unacceptable. Like, it is just, it is part of the parking garage, quite literally. Why are we paying for this? And I'm not yelling at you, it's like, this is insane. Like,
because we asked for it.
Well,
Back in the day
wear
with
and
the
tear, like, they
design.
can't have blight in our neighborhood.
But, well, they are actually, it's kind of, you didn't mention that they are doing the expansion joints throughout the garage. There's another there's a bigger project with the parking garage that they are doing.
That at a minimum, right?
Yeah.
That structural element.
Yeah, so they're doing
They
that.
should be taking care of that. So however much of that, the $90,000
Correct.
should be covered by the city.
Correct. And they
right?
did have some conversation that if y'all handle the interior of the boxes, because we're going to control those, we're going to program those. That's going to be for art. And we're bringing it to a standard that's going to be for art. Right now, we do want to do a little bit more in these boxes because they're very hot spaces, and anything that's been put into them pretty much melts away in 6 months. So we do want to put it to the standard that Corey was mentioning, but there is a bigger project here. All the expansion joints in the garage have to be replaced. And matter of fact, they found out when they redid the offices closest to the railroad track, they started leaking. So they now had to come through and do kind of a mitigation of that. So now they actually know exactly what they need to do. So they are spending money in the garage. We used to give them $50,000. When we go through the budget, you're going to see this $50,000 line item there, which was something that was negotiated many, many years ago. We're no longer doing that. We're not giving the $50,000. It was really supposed to offset for free parking, believe it or not, long ago, parking on 7th Avenue. But so they are partnered. They are doing part. They painted the garages. One day I was in Ybor and someone came up to me and thanked me for how well the garage looked because I work for the city. And I said, what are you talking about? It wasn't me, it was parking. They've actually done it through all the garages downtown. They look fantastic. They're putting flowers, they're doing kind of customer friendly kind of amenities to them. So they are spending money in the garage, but for these particular boxes, they see these as the CRA's boxes because we can do whatever we want with them.
I don't see them as CRA boxes. I see them as part of the parking facility.
They are in
And
design.
they are required to provide a vanilla shell for that use. If we want to increase the lighting, if we want to change the temperature of those boxes, that's fine. And if we want to do these installations, but like, this is literally part of the parking garage. And they're just saying like, no.
At the very least, the mold and the termites, that should be they should be covering that cost, because that's structural.
That's the structural, and the structural failure.
But I can-
And they will,
have
and
UV
we'll be put on a list and
How
it'll
much
get
of
done
that-
when it gets
How
done.
much of
So
that
there's-
90,000 is the expansion joint
17,000.
replacement?
17,000.
19,000.
17?
17.
17, okay.
The majority of the construction is coming to replace all the boxes, which they don't consider structural because they're decorative. So it's not actually like a structural piece of the garage. In one sense, obviously, none of us in this room designed the garage. It was meant to withhold rain, but not to withhold getting weekly pressure washing. And that's really what's causing the leaking is not like the storms. Yes, the 2 storms last year definitely contributed a lot of rain going into the garage. But the main, like when the clean team comes and pressure washes the garage every week, which is a necessity, to keep that garage up to a code and standard and not, health standards. The pressure washing is actually what's seeping into the broken cracks. Because technically, if there was no pressure washing and there was no garage boxes, everything would be structurally fine. They could the garage would stay, it would live, it would be a structure for years to come. It's just more the leaking because of the pressure washing.
I gotta object to that because the Noriega garage leaks like a sieve. I was in there during the hurricane like everyone else and parked a car in there and it was just pouring everywhere. And they could be pressure washing if that has nothing to do with like, that is part of the maintenance of a parking garage is to do those gaps so that they don't leak. That is on the parking department to do flat out. Like I'm pissed.
I agree.
Don't beat around the bush.
It's a structural failure of the building that has damaged our outreach, element. And so when they fix that, then we can fix our outreach element.
Okay. I'm just here to bring in the info.
It's just not going to get done. Y'all realize that. We can ask.
I don't actually know. I don't think that's acceptable either. I think Fed should have to come here and tell us where in his budget he's not spending these dollars and why he's asking us or someone's asking us to spend these dollars.
Well, this is a CRA initiative. This is for art. This is to have outreach of an outdoor museum. If we don't want to do that, they're still sit there. They
My
can still.
point is that now this study has been done. Fed is aware of these deficiencies in the building. So what is he going to do about it?
Well, we can if y'all want to make a motion to that ask,
I
we
would
could
love to
do
make a
that.
motion to
Yeah,
have
we
Fed
could do
Revolt
that.
come here and tell us what his plan is to fix these deficiencies in his parking garage.
I second.
All right.
Further discussion? Michael, you had your hand raised a moment
I
ago.
was just going to ask about the venting. Is that going to be actual climate control in terms of temperature and humidity, or is it just?
It's more just like
air movement.
air movement, because right now it's just a stagnant, closed, like sealed up room that just is baking like an oven, so.
So turn it into a convection oven.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Well, I will look into it. I will keep moving along and I will make sure.
Oh, wait a minute, we haven't,
Oh,
Well,
okay.
yeah, hold on, not
It's all right,
yet.
it's all right.
There's good discussion.
So would that, given like the type of vending, would that limit the type of artwork that could go in there if you want this is done?
It shouldn't, it's, right now, it's like the humidity in there is worse than the humidity in the actual garage, like
Yeah.
when you're in the windows, so like, the venting should release some of that air, making it a little bit cooler. The UV tint should make it a lot cooler, especially on the east facing side, which is like the west facing side, where the HCC windows. There's trees, there's a building, so that like is like a little bit more, that's why those windows are in a little bit better shape too, I think, but I can't be for sure.
Is the city have any recourse against the firm that designed it like that? I mean, I get the thing about the pressure washing, maybe not have been anticipated in the design, but like the design of the boxes with no venting, has the city explored any recourse it might have against its members that built it that way?
It would have been 25 years ago.
Yeah.
It was Saul Fleischman.
Been a while.
Mhm.
If we decided not to do anything, we decided, gee, it's really not worth it, what would the city do with those boxes? What would they?
The city would do
They just
nothing.
leave them?
It was part of a design. If y'all remember, that was there was, the bunker over by the garage, next to the museum? That was the building. There was one building on that lot, and that's what it was, a bunker. And they relocated it to where it is in Centennial Park, across from Centennial Park, to build a parking garage. And the barrio required them to put in the same location, like facing west, over here. So it was removed. When they did the design for the garage, because they knew they were building this big box structure in the neighborhood, they wanted to make sure it didn't look like a big box. They put like a kind of a softer edge around it to look like a storefront. And that was part of the design. It was approved by the barrio. So ever since they did that, they kind of handed it over to YCD, say, hey, y'all program them. You do what you want. And for years we did, we had little different groups involved in there. It was free space to kind of advertise, Visit Tampa Bay, everybody had a little window and it was working well. And then, I would say about 10 years ago, we put some historic photographs in there, but we realized there was things melt in there. There's no ventilation. It's electrical. It's just really an empty hot box. So the design, it was really a design feature. Did it function as well as that? Probably not. And that's what y'all are discussing today, but
25 years is a long time.
it's a long time ago. And,
didn't we,
you remember.
are we here because about a year or so ago, we made a motion to go ahead and do this and
To look
undertake this
into,
investigation? And I don't recall anything about involving the parking department in this, is what I'm.
these
So
have
why are we
always
now?
been Ybor, CAC, or CRA boxes. These are what we have to work with. This parking doesn't want anything to do with them. It's, but if we choose not to do anything with them, then, they'll sit there like that. We could clean them up, paint them, but they still have, like David said, there's still structural issue. You can't really utilize them right now.
Chair Barbara.
Yes.
I,
Haven't been called that in a while.
or acting, however you want to say.
Whatever.
What's your brother?
Brenda, I feel like you just made the argument, your description just supports the very argument that the city should be taken care of. The city created this element, they created this structures on the side with these, so that we would have this street level look, approved by the barrio. Therefore, they are not maintaining the structure that they designed. So I think that makes the very argument that the city should be doing it. And if they're not going to, they need to clean it up at a minimum. So the pictures that you show, that they're in such disrepair, stuff's falling over, you have all this, colored material and stuff, clean it all out, get rid of all of that stuff and make the repairs that they're making throughout the entire structure.
Hypothetically, though, being devil's advocate, say Fred comes and says, we ain't doing nothing. What do we do then? Are you okay with it being like it is?
No, I mean, it's a double standard if I have a barrio approved house that was built in this district, that does not allow me then to just not do any maintenance on the structure. If the structure falls into disrepair, someone's gonna call code enforcement. So if the ultimate remedy is to call code enforcement on the city of Tampa, I will be the one to do that. But I'm just saying, like, just because you got a barrio approval for a structure does not wash your hands of, I'm done with it. You have to maintain the structure.
Is there a way to prove moving forward so that we can get it fixed, but at the same time calling Fed in to ask them to explain why they should kick in something for it? You'd hate to lose the free parking, obviously, and that does sound like something that may have been.
Well, I mean, yeah, you could do all of that. I mean, if you want him to come, just wait on it and, maybe come and share what the plan is for the garage. I mean, you just keep in mind, this garage, the garages in Ybor are not like other garages. They operate parking garages with no bathrooms, no windows, none of this. It's not part of usually a design. It was it was community driven at the time, to build this parking garage in a residential area south of the tracks. So, I absolutely, I mean, if you want to hold off and have them come in and talk to you, the
Are you
group
saying
about
you
the
agree to
plan.
share some with that because it's unique?
Yes, I mean, this was asked at the time of the community. It was the barrio.
That's not the story I've heard
I
from
disagree.
residents who were here at the time.
Yeah, I don't, unless there's something documenting the fact that we said that we would help.
There was
Continue
community
in
meetings.
perpetuity,
There was community
I
meetings.
think we're talking about two
this.
different things. We're
What are you
talking
talking
about the parking garage being approved by
Yes,
the barrio.
yes.
But we're also talking about the ongoing, agreeing to look at this as an issue. I do agree that this entity agreed to look at this as an issue. I'm taking issue with the fact that now we're being asked to pay for the maintenance of the city of Tampa's parking garage.
I agree with you. Well, I hear Dennis say that the net effect of delaying it is they're just gonna put it on a list, might be next year.
But that's just bureaucracy. I mean, can just.
Totally agree. I'm saying-
You know what, I say that, but let them, I mean, obviously, we don't know. I mean, maybe they would.
And I'm just one person. If you guys want to proceed and like go for a vote.
Guys, we're still in the middle of a motion. Are we done discussing the motion? Can we vote on it? Because as far as I'm concerned, let's have Fed come in and talk to them. See what he says. What's the harm in that? We'll figure it out from there.
Okay,
Can I ask what the motion is that is on?
the motion that's on the floor, as I remember, I'm 70 years old, but I think I remember it, is that we have Fred come before the committee to ask what, if anything, the parking department is willing to do to participate in the redoing of the status of the windows here. Was that?
Repair of the
pretty
window
accurate?
boxes. Mhm, got it.
Fed, yes.
I'm not so sure of that.
I was just gonna say, if anything, no, I don't think so. I think
Yeah.
just have them come in and.
Yes, tell us what they're gonna do.
Well, this is what I had. I'll share it with you. There was a motion, David and Carolyn, to ask parking manager or director to come to the Ybor CAC to address how they are handling the repair of the garage and its window
There
boxes.
you go. That's.
Is that good?
Perfect, Brenda. Thank you.
All right,
All right.
got it.
Seems like they should stick going.
All in favor, say aye.
I'm
Any
abstaining.
All
abstain?
right, you have to stand with purpose, with a reason.
So we have an interest in this. That's the reason. We
The
have two
palm?
boxes that we currently take care of.
Yes, okay, with reason.
So
Yes, thank
I have a
you.
reason to
Yes,
abstain.
I know. Last time I learned this. I know, Caroline already talked about it. Yeah, when you abstain, you just have to say why. That's it. Thank you, and you're exactly right.
May I ask a question? I think I have a solution, as an artist mindset. I have a, cultural enrichment program that I run here in Ybor out of pocket myself. I have local artists, volunteers, art. There's a way that, we can do something and, use in the meantime. Well, this gets agreed upon, get some action done. Use a QR code and have it use that this is display for a QR code that will display a cultural enrichment program free for the community for the city of Ybor. For people that drive by or see it, you scan the QR code, and it'll take you to a website or, or a YouTube channel, and then the classes are there. It is free and accessible for the community. So that's one way to get use out of it. In the meantime, while these things and the bureaucracy proceeds. I don't know.
All right. Okay, so I think the vote passes with one abstention. Thank you, though. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
There is no CRA grants policy update that you might have seen in your agenda for today.
It's postponed until June.
Thank you. Postponed till June. CAC Chairperson report by Rich Simmons. Welcome new CAC member Roberto Torres.
Where's Roberto?
Here.
He's officially approved.
All right. YCDC update meeting plan for Tuesday, May 27th at 4 p.m.
Yeah, he sent this to us.
Right,
There's
saw
a
that.
meeting.
That is for any CAC members. It's to try to think of ways to make the YCDC a viable operative entity. And it's also to address the increased cost of pavers that the YCDC still is in charge of. And
Do we have a
please,
location for that?
pardon me?
Do we have a location?
I'm assuming
It's gonna be here because
What is that?
we're not having the Ybor meeting, so the space was available. So Chair Simmons asked if I could, see if it's available, and it is. So it's basically like you would normally meet, but it's gonna be in this room.
Can you send out a reminder, or does Rich?
Rich has to do it. This is YCDC Inc.
Understood.
This is-
That's why I asked.
All
right.
I can share it though.
Projects team report.
Okay, so just as every month, it's in your packet. The projects team puts together their list of ongoing CIP projects. So if there's any questions, I can take them. There's not someone from that team here tonight, but I'll just leave it at that. If you have questions, I can try to answer or get answers for you.
I had something from them.
Yes, sir.
During that, we're just wondering whether or not we could have, so we're talking about our projects, our.
Correct.
Yes. Is whether or not that could be provided to us spatially, whether or not we could get the city to do and/or I guess the CRA, whoever our consultant, to create a spatial map of this. So a website that you can go to, you can see pins where all these projects are, and they in turn will then link you to a project page that will give you greater detail about each of these projects, where it is in its phase, any notes on it, budgets and the like.
Great idea. I know they have fact sheets out there, and I think this is something they're working on. Something that could be, you're talking about a map where you can just click and then it pops up.
If it's
So
helpful, they already have, the Bari already uses that. Acela is on there, it's ArcGIS, so the city already has the technology. It just has to be, they just have to put that data
Yeah,
in.
exactly. I wouldn't be surprised if the city doesn't have a capital projects map themselves. So
Yeah.
all they just need to do is make
Yeah.
ours.
I'll share that with the project team. Thanks. It's a great recommendation.
And I still don't see the stormwater topic on here.
Stormwater. So it's not a project because it is a study, and I do have an update, and it has not been forgotten. The stormwater study, Stantec did it, which I'll recall. They are also working with Stormwater Department on assessing all the CIP viable projects, and they know that Ybor, CAC could participate in that one section that's within the CRA, which is, the couple blocks there. So it's not been forgotten, but Stantec is still working on an assessment. And I just got word today from Nick Bennett, who's the project coordinator, that they will come back when they're going to be able to plan that into the CIP.
But I guess my question, and we've talked about this before, right, Brittany, is that how are we supposed to even have it on our horizon? Like basically the planning and the design was done, that project was completed, and then they told us a number for the project. I feel like that number should be on this tracking.
Well, the number for the project, and we can revisit that, I thought it was larger than it's beyond the CRA. So we need more definition of that.
When Centennial Park will be too.
Pardon me?
I mean, Centennial Park project will be too.
Will be what?
The number that we actually need to.
Bigger than the budget.
Yeah, that's in the CRA. So, and I have, yes. And we're actually engaging a consultant right now And we're going to be going through the budget, so we can dive deep into that a little bit more. But that's what they've told me. They don't want to put it on the tracker because it's not active right now.
And how will it ever be active if we're not steering towards it? I guess is my question.
I know about it. It's on my list. That's why I always get it there. It's got to come back from Stantec.
Can we just add it to the agenda as something we get an update on?
Yeah, put it under me.
It's important. Let's do it. I mean, it's not gonna all be funded by us. It's gonna be a much larger project, but where it goes through here might have some contribution or some way to help accelerate.
I guess also, I just don't, if we have other items that are listed as requests, why can't that be listed on there as well?
So I'll ask you guys, because I'm not the projects person, but everything on here is active right now.
I think what they're referring to is line 6.
Line 6 is going away, yeah.
It says request.
But even
Yeah,
9.
yeah.
Oh, no, 7, 8, 9. isn't it?
Yeah,
It's a
7, 8,
request,
9.
not started.
So yes, all these actually 50th Street garage windows, well, y'all just talked about that. The ADA parks, that's already been approved by CRA board. So that's already, it says not started. It's in our budget. And gas works has already been approved by the CRA board. All these have been approved. But you know what? Let me ask that because I want to make sure that it is somewhere, tracked somewhere. And I understand that it is important to the CAC. It's a definite need. It's just, I know it's a larger project than what we can do ourselves. We have to participate in it. But I'll put it under me for now, okay?
Can I ask about the Centennial Park improvements? You say
Yes.
says staff working on a new RFP for design. Have they finished that RFP?
No, they have, right now, they are going through the picks. They're going through the RFQ process with contract admin. And we will be having a consultant engaged.
So they haven't written
We don't,
the RFQ yet.
I have to ask with Bryce on that one. Okay, they're working on this. I know this is something that's going forward and there's a meeting with the contract admin folks about it. And just so you know, we already had an RFQ before on this. It's this is the second go around on Centennial Park because the cost got a little high last time. So we actually canceled that potential contract and now we're kind of starting over. So anyway, we are putting money towards that, but yes. Are you, what is the question? Do you want the copy of the RFQ?
Oh, I just didn't know if that was something that they would, something that we would discuss or not. Exactly how they're formulating that.
Yeah, I will.
Because I think you said it's gonna be, they're hoping to do like a design build firm this time, right? So
A design, I believe it's design build, or it could be design bid build. But they bring it to final construction documents. So it would be design, everything up into that point. But Bryce is supposed to be, Bryce Farrager is the coordinator on this one, or the planner. He will be coming to the CAC, I believe it's in June on this one.
Yeah.
But this is moving
it just
forward.
felt like it's had this status of, working on the RFP for a while.
Yes.
At least a couple of years. I mean, the last one was a full-blown disaster. I mean, to be perfectly blunt about it. We had these guys from New York talking to us on the telephone and telling us all these great plans until they gave us the amount of money. It was like multiple times what we had budgeted for it, so. No.
There was no
Here we are
upset
7
budget,
years down
yeah.
The road's still nothing.
Well, I mean, that's a great question. So we have that budgeted at 300 K, right?
300, and when you talk
And
about
is
the
that just
budget,
For the consultant, or is that?
it's for the
park?
design. It's for the
It's for the
design.
design.
So what
So how much
design,
do we have budgeted for the park?
so we're adding another 300 to it, and I'll tell you why. Before, what we had is maybe around $3 million we could have done. The consultants that we, like Steve mentioned, they were designing a $10 million park because the concept was to reimagine the park, start over. Anything was doable. This go around is we're putting a parameter on it of 5 million to 5 to 6 million because it's usually 10% of the cost of the project. So we're kind of looking at, okay, let's design something that's within a parameter. versus designing something that has no ceiling.
So, okay, forgive me, I hate to belabor, the questioning is, so it's 300,000 now for.
We have
the-
300,000 FY '25
For the consultant.
for the consultant. We've already kind of, have that reserved for that.
Mhm.
And then when we go through the budget, there's another 300 we're going to be adding to that.
So you're anticipating, like you said, as much as that, but then, so how much budget do we have for the park renovation?
Well, again, we have to do this over multi-years. We don't have enough money. We have to build it. That's why we've always had that 300,000 there. We're going to keep building it. So that we can have that amount of money. We have 8 years. I mean, obviously on the tip, we can prioritize this throughout the, every year we're going to get budget, a new assessment coming in. I truly don't know what the number is going to be next year. We always plan with are y'all want to get into budget? Because we're kind of talking about
But
it.
so I'm just saying, so the
Yeah, you're already in it.
the budget for the park is 5 million, you're saying?
It's something that's what Bryce came back. Project management said, looking at other parks in the city of Tampa and what we're putting into them, somewhere between the $5 million range is a good number to work with.
Let's just turn those interior enclosures in the park into affordable housing units. And we have a lot more budget.
Well, that's one of those, yes. So
All right,
anyway.
moving things along. Any other questions? I'm sorry. All right, if not, the grants team report also included in the packets.
Yes, they're in the packet. Again, there's activity happening with the grants. Could be more activity. Just so you know, we did not have the grants presentation today, but that's really a policy update. Someone asked me earlier, are the grants still active? Of course they're active. We have budgetary money. We have the commercial grant. This is commercial grant. So we're talking the commercial interior, commercial exterior, and now they're letting out for the pre-development grant. And then you also have special projects. So they are active. And so please, if you know people or businesses that would benefit from these, please let them know. We have those available.
Any questions with regard to the grants?
Just quickly, do you have any detail on the 1901, the HWH law? I think it's the old one Italian building, is that right?
I do not. I can ask about it though.
I just got my thing.
What do you want to know what it's going to be?
Yeah, man. Curious.
There was a part of the Latino commission, it was, fill in that empty lot, sell the public, they're gonna have an upstairs, but it was the whole distance. Planning tables on it potentially for an upstairs webcam, which I don't know if it works, but they, we need that. So that's what I know, that it'll be a larger building, they're gonna consolidate storefront.
Thank
Any
you. I can have information on it for the next meeting.
Any other questions with regard to
Right
the
here.
housing? Sorry. Thank you.
I know this is just stupid, but can we have the grants team make the chart bigger? Because this is just hard to read.
We've asked for it. I know. I'm sorry. I would usually blow them up like 11 by 17, and I was kind of focused on the budget this time, but I'll do that next time.
Yeah, no, that's fine. I
It's
just like,
too
I noticed,
small.
yeah, it's like, yeah, just for public consumption.
Yeah.
Any other questions with regard to the grants?
Yeah.
Moving on, housing program update.
Okay, so I did include in your packet just a snapshot that they give all the CRAs on what's happening with housing. You can see there's a lot of activity that's going on in East Tampa and West Tampa, but very, very little to none going on in Ybor City. I did leave the flyers up at the front up there for the down payment assistance program as well as the rehabilitation program. So again, we're still trying to do more outreach. We're working with HCP, our marketing company, because they're working and helping out all the CRAs on a campaign to try to get more information out about these grant programs, because all these programs are available, but they seem certain districts are participating in them, and Ybor's we haven't had anything. And I know y'all are heading up ex officio organizations. Anyway, if I can help get this information to y'all, or even Ms. Parks, if she's available, I don't know if Carolyn, she came, she's she mentioned that she needs to get in front of y'all, so there's maybe, let's get those meeting dates and see if that can be arranged for your group. But anyway, we have information and just trying to get it out to
I
everyone.
need to look at it again, but I reviewed the sites and it almost looks like the programs on them.
They're
Go to the
active.
city's sites, and one, I guess they are requiring people to do all of their application in person and everything. So there's like no
Yeah.
element of interacting online and understanding.
Yeah, so that's why their office is over on 22nd Street, but yes, they will come to you, but I believe they do have consultations with each of the owners for these programs.
But I think
So,
part of that, the way that's presented is it almost looks like there's not a program that's active.
oh, it's active. It's very active. There's a lot going on in West Tampa and East Tampa. So, yeah, if it's not, but let me bring that comment to Ms. Parks and let her know that there's,
I mean, to kind of go, it's hard to find on the CRA website, like I have to bookmark it doing, I can help with the communication, then I have to have it bookmarked so I can go access the page. Because when you type in, like, if you type in Tampa CRA housing, it comes up as the first result on Google. But if you go to the tampa.gov CRA page, you cannot find it. Wherever it is, it's hidden in the navigation. So definitely for at least.
that's something to definitely
For
work
the
on.
city web team to just make sure it's active.
Okay, thank you.
Got a lot to check on.
Yeah, well, I know it's all good. It's all good. Thank you.
All right. Any other questions with regard to the housing program update? Manager report, budget.
Okay, so I thought, y'all ready? Okay, great. So let's dive into the budget, and y'all, I did make these a little bit bigger, so you should have a bigger sheet in front of you. If you don't, there's some on the table, extra ones over here.
Just see like if you like.
Yeah, you should have both.
There should be a one.
There's a 1 and a 2. The 1 has 2 pages and the 2 has one double-sided page.
Okay.
Here, no, what do you have? Need one?
I just have two.
Here, here's the 2-page one. You need bigger too? Well, I got one. Same sheet of music. You all take one. There you go. All right, now start with the 2-pager. Okay, so every year, as y'all know, we go through and look at the FY '26 budget. The format we're using today is what all the CRAs use. It's the one we've been using for years. But basically, what we're going to focus on, would like to focus on, but I want to be sympathetic to anybody that's new to the CRA that's never seen these budgets before. I'm here to kind of walk through these and let's go through these line items. But we're really focused on the salmon category. Call it salmon, but someone may call it guava. I don't know, but it's peach column. Mm-hmm. So that is what our FY '26 budget line, our column looks like as of today. And this was just a stab at kind of balancing a budget based on the commitments, the priorities of what we already have that have been identified by the CAC and the CRA board. So when we do the budget, we plan for 5%. Okay, this is just a guesstimate. Every year we just say, okay, let's assume we have 5% more than we had last year. Now, this is not final numbers. Final numbers come in when the tax rolls are validated, and those won't be till July. We won't know until what the real number is going to be. Last year, Ybor increased a little bit. A lot of times we increase, sometimes some go down. But so if we have additional monies that come in, then those are going to be put into a catch-all kind of category that we can utilize for capital improvement projects or programs or whatever we want to do. We have that flexibility in this budget. So looking at Ybor 1, the 2-pager, you're looking at a 3.878, $3,878,352. That's 5% above what we did last year. And that's our budget planning. That would be our revenue. Then we go through expenditures and we look at now operations and administration. It's a cost share amongst all the CRAs. So I don't have that number firmed up, but it's somewhere around $300,000, 315 or something at this point. But that's something that is done, with the administration. But we focus on, I want y'all to show you what's happening with the other categories. So professional services. And again, all the budgets across all the CRAs are done similar. When we did our reorganization, we all have these 5 focus areas, and these 5 focus areas also match up to our budget. So that's how we kind of plan things out. So they're very organized. So professional services is what we would do when we're engaging a consultant. Okay, it's kind of a catch-all category. We have $359,000 there from last year. So on the peach column, there's nothing budgeted for FY26 because there's money there. So because in CRA world, unlike City of Tampa world or government world, we are allowed to roll money. General fund cannot roll money. We can, and it's allowance. So that's why we look at what we already have. If we don't anticipate something else, like a study coming up or something, then we can, we'll just zero it out there. Also, what you have identified is a community redevelopment plan, and that is required by the state. We need to update our community redevelopment plan. We put aside $150,000 for this study, but really it's going to be a little bit under $200,000. And the way this study, we envision it taking place in Ybor, because we work with Ybor 1 and 2 together, is that we would hire 1 consultant, but we have to have 2 plans, but we could have the same public engagement process. Okay, so it's kind of like a 2-for-1 we're getting from a consultant. But our plans, we have 8 more years left with both CRAs. If y'all have seen the way the plans are, they're kind of they've gone through an amendment process. So there's not one consolidated plan. So the goal here would be to consolidate the plan, look at all the projects that you have that you still want to do, kind of update anything that needs to be updated, kind of clean it up, and voila, that's our plan. And again,
is there anything in the prospective legislation that's going to impact this budget at all?
We don't know that at this time. If that were to happen, and this is the kicker with the House bills, the question has been about the new projects. And if they're making us, right now, remember that catch-all category called district improvements? We're maintaining that district improvement line item. If they make us identify the district improvements, like into a project category, then that we may have a conversation. But right now, we've been told just to keep moving forward the way we've been doing it. Believe it or not, the City of Tampa CRA does an better job than any other CRA in the state, because we spend our money appropriately and in accordance to the statute. So that is to be determined, but that's the only thing I could see at this point.
All
right. So we can do professional service. We have to CRP update. So that's professional services. Are there any questions? I'll just go by category and stop and say, hey, any questions about and clarities about what professional services are?
So talking about the CRP, we had the 150 rolled over from the CRA 1, but you are proposing 50,000 out of the CRA 2 to total of 200.
Correct. And when we get to Ybor 2, this is going to go a lot smoother because you're going, oh, I heard that. Yeah. So I actually, if you want to look at that while we do it, Ybor 2 has a line item, okay, for CAP, same thing, CAP community redevelopment plan, and it's 50,000. And again, it'll probably come right under that amount, but that we try to stay under 200,000 because then we can do a pick 3 on a consultant. And it's just a lot easier and cleaner to do it that way. All right. Any other questions on professional services? Okay. All right. Moving right along. Here is outreach and community engagement. This category was created for any type of professional services or communications or outside firms that we would use, or even if we want to do a mailer and we want postage, or we want to do, that falls under outreach and community engagement. Okay. The communications professional services is for, at this point in time, is for HCP. We have a contract with HCP. We've had it for almost 5 years now. We are on our final year with them. They expire in December. So what's happening with that is that Ybor City has had a contract since actually 2005 to do special marketing services. Now all the Tampa CRAs want to do something very similar. So the 61,000 here is finishing out their contract with Ybor, but now we have engaged HCP to do on an interim basis communications for all Tampa CRAs. And what does that mean? Well, they did something, and I'll give each of you a copy of this beautiful annual report that was due to the state. We're hoping it's going to be a award winner. We do an annual report every year. We have to by the state, but we take it to a new level and make it into a really nice marketing piece. So I have these that I'll share with y'all at the end. They also do social media. Ybor City had a social media site for years, okay? And we grew, and we have strong following on it. Instead of creating a separate social media, what we've done is migrate. So you're seeing now not just Ybor City social media, you're seeing also Tampa CRA. We're able to utilize them to, Salsinas Park and other things that are going on, just highlight what's happening in the CRAs. So that is one of their services they're providing. They're also doing a newsletter for us, which should be coming out shortly, soon. That's going to showcase what's happening in all the CRAs, little, ribbon cuttings here and activities. So you'll get kind of a holistic view of what's happening with Tampa CRA, as well as they can do some crisis management if we need some, which, unfortunately, we have utilized that service in the past, but it's part of their public relations program platform. And they can also help out with whatever we need in terms of outreach and communication. So that's what they're doing. And so the money here, the beautiful thing about all of this is that we were spending a large chunk of our money, or larger chunk of our money just on engaging HCP. We would do a cost share across all the CRAs. So we're looking like it would be probably around maybe 30,000 a CRA. And in Ybor, we would probably split that, like an 80-20. So that's what that is. We will know more about this on May 8th. CRA board has asked that this item come back to them. Actually, Mr. Carlson did, because he's very interested in communications, and that they actually motioned to have HCP can do broader services for the district for Tampa CRA. What I don't have is the flexibility past December to extend their contract. They're up. We will be going out for RFP again. We are required to. So we have enough money here to be able to do all of that. Any questions on that?
Okay, you say that the 61,000 and change is to pay them out through the end of this year.
And to also participate in where they're doing an interim basis.
30 for next year, but
Yeah.
in the CRA you're
Yep.
doing 15,000. Is that also part?
Yes.
And the current, that's
Yes.
the 61,000, or will that roll?
So I'm putting a little money in there because I just don't know. I wanted to have like around 30,000 in each of these just to make sure we have enough money to do what we need to do. And knowing that we may want to do some outreach in Ybor, I want to have a little flexibility, and there's not a bad thing. So yes, that is to cover not just a consultant, but again, it could be for anything, mailers, outreach, what have you. Okay. We do not fund special events, so you will not see that anywhere in this budget. That's why we have legislation going through now. Yeah, marketing. Don't use the word marketing, communications. Okay, any questions? If no questions on outreach.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
I just was saying on the CRP update is why was there nothing on the 26 budget?
Because we already had it this year, Carolyn.
Okay,
We were able to move some money from that 359. Yeah. If I'm able to put money from this year and reappropriate it, that we do it. But it's all shown here, so you know. But just so you know, tell like y'all want to hire a consultant next year to do X, Y, Z. We can do that. We have $359,000 to hire someone to do something. Okay, so we have flexibility. Okay, so moving into redevelopment investment. I left the Hart bus stops in here, and if you saw it last month, it had $100,000 there. But because you made a motion to take the $100,000 and reappropriate it to the streetcar so it would maintain free fares, that money has now been absorbed to that line item. However, Hart has expressed interest. They have a plan, let's just say, to upgrade Hart bus stops at all the CRAs. And with that, it's somewhere around 160,000 in Ybor City. So they're going to be probably coming back with another ask. But I don't know what that is. So I'm left it there just because we're waiting on an application for them to come forward with that ask. But that would be for next year. Now all the next 4 items, the 4 pre-development grants, commercial exterior, commercial interior, and special projects. That is our project, our grants team. That is the money that we have set aside to fulfill applications coming in for any of those. And there are applications happening. So these are from everything, mainly they're all commercial grant programs. When I spoke to Miss Dee Reed, who heads up that team, she said, Brenda, if you have anything left over, can we put it towards pre-development grants? Because that's new. And what a pre-development grant would be is tell like someone has a piece of property or they have a building and they need to hire an architect to see what can be done. Okay. Or what, that is money that is set aside for those services. So that's where we put it for now, since that balance was a little lower. And then of course, special project grants, those are for special things that come through, mainly nonprofits asking for money to do something, that is bigger and much more bigger than the standard grants.
What would be an example of that?
A museum, J.C. Newman, that just happened up in East Tampa. It could be the Strauss Center downtown. Special projects grants can be the Centro Studio. You have to be a nonprofit to apply for those kind of grants. But it's something that is cultural, that is giving a benefit to the entire district. So yes, that's now again, the policy is getting a little tweaked. So Miss Reed will be here on June, so you can talk more to her about what's happening with the grant programs. Any questions on redevelopment investment grants? What we're doing there, the money that we have. Would like to see those monies being used though. So, okay, affordable housing. Okay, the 1.1 in Ybor 1, it's 1.163. Sorry, 1,163,506. That is exactly 30% of the 3.8 number at the top. That is allocation that is annual and approved by the CRA board. On the next page, where does that go? Well, in Ybor, we're looking at really two items, which is unit creation and conversion, RFAs and NFFAs. These are housing language. This will be to create, working with a developer. Tell like a developer comes in and wants to build a townhome property, okay, or rentals or even affordable housing. We could, if they're creating units for affordable housing, we can partner with them. That's a way to partner. The other line item we're spending money or wanting to strategically spend money on is acquisitions, buying land. So those are where the two items are. The reason that number is kind of hanging out here under affordable housing initiatives is because Ms. Parks, who I consulted with, said, well, just leave it there and I'll put it where I need it. So we have flexibility. It'll go either in those two categories, or again, they could go to down payment assistance and strategic and the other programs that we have over there on the table. So that is money that is just, CRA board approved. Yes.
Quick question. Why does CRA 2 not have unit creation under its affordable housing?
The reason, okay, for that one is because there's more, and that could change. When that was looked upon in Ybor 2, and probably that's a good point. I think we need to add that. I really do, because there's properties down there that are getting developed with some infill housing that's a great point. So we can add that one. At the time, I think, again, this kind of mirrored last year, they were thinking it would be the residential, just the neighborhood coming in with, housing grants and that kind of thing. But if y'all want me to add that on, I definitely will.
That's the most significant area of like light industrial that could transition to housing.
Absolutely. Good catch. And
Especially because people like to say there's no place for affordable housing unit creation in CRA 1, which I disagree with, but if they're saying that, then that means it's pushing to CRA 2.
Yes. So any of those 4 line items are available under housing. That's what they're working on. Okay, very good. Any questions about that? And since we're looking at Ybor 2 at the same time, y'all see the number that's there, 571,000. is 30% of the revenue number. Okay, so now let's get into infrastructure and capital projects. Here, and again, there's two projects here that are at the top of Ybor 1 that are going to get reappropriated. These are ones that are hanging out there. There's one on the east 7th Avenue Archway and Streetscape Rehab Project. There was $3,000 there. That's because we didn't spend it all to repair the East 7th Avenue pavers that went around in the gateway. We had a little savings there. So that'll get reappropriated within the one of these categories here. Parking garage improvements, I think I mentioned that earlier. We have this hanging out there, $54,000. It is actually an Ybor 1 and Ybor 2. Are we doing this at the same time? Yes, we are. Okay. In Ybor 2, I put in the Centro Ybor parking garage window improvements. I wasn't sure what your vote was going to be today, but just so you know, Centro Ybor garage is an Ybor 2, Palm Avenue is an Ybor 1. So we can't spend money in one and the other. So we had to have a line item there. So, and that, since y'all did not approve that tonight, we can take that $90,000 off Ybor 2. And just, we'll put it somewhere. We'll just put it down into district improvements. Okay. Sorry, I don't want to jump around too much because I don't want everyone confused. Okay, so let's go back to Ybor 1. So what do we have on this list? We have 7th Avenue bricking. Okay. Y'all know that project is continuing. We have 10 blocks to do in Ybor 1. 2 of those are done, so there's 8 more to go, and the next 2 blocks are being designed. I'm just keeping to put a little bit more money each year into that. I don't know how much each block is going to cost because now we're having to bid out, but we know we had a significant savings of that when we first did it. It was under $434,000 to do 2 blocks. We're looking more like $1 million to do the next 2 blocks. So those costs will be coming in as they are bid out. Okay, so we'll see how that looks. Park ADA enhanced improvements. That figure is already approved and on a schedule from CRA board. Each year, I think through 2027, we're putting a little bit of ADA enhanced improvements into the parks. In Ybor, we know we have this one really would be for Centennial Park. This is the Ybor 1. That will be coordinated with any new park plan. So just so you know, that money is set aside. And then Centennial Park improvements, we have $300,000 for a design team. It really wasn't enough to get someone engaged, so we're adding a little more to that line item. Again, it's for design and it can be for constructions. We're creating a pot for it. So that way we have a healthy balance so that we can go out for our design firm. And they're looking anywhere between up to $500,000 for a contract for that. And the line underneath, the public art, every time we do a CIP project, we need to have 1% set aside for public art. So I went ahead and put in the $13,000. We're tracking that now. Our budget department wants us tracking that because there's an ordinance. So we're trying to true that up every year. So anytime we're doing something, we'll be kind of coordinating that off for a public art component. And then district signage improvements. I know this is your favorite category. We completed, okay, we'll just call it phase 1. Phase 1 was completed, but now, and that involved 63 signs and about $170,000. We're going back out. We're not completed. And there's some good news on this. We've been talking with mobility department and they understand that signage maintenance is going to be theirs. So they now are creating their sign shop so that they can create signs inside, especially the first layer. They used to have this years ago and then they kind of got away from it. Now they're getting back into it. So we've agreed that we will continue to fund the poles, get all the signs completed again, the poles, the finial, the base, and the installation of the new signs, and they will be able to do the sheeting. So we're working in partnership with them, but we have, right now they're doing an inventory of all the signs. It's never really been done, but they need to do an inventory of every sign we have in Ybor City CRA 1 and 2 And then we are going to partner up and go out for a contractor to do the installation and have actually someone on, like who mentioned, I think it was Chris last meeting said, hey, there's a sign that bowed out. We want to have a contract on in play with a company so that we can just call them and they go out and repair it. So they're going to be able to do all the installs and the fabricate and put it all together. Okay, so that's what that is. That was Ybor 1. If y'all want to do Ybor 2, anything that's different on this one would be, the gateway and wayfinding project, the 25,000, that is just hanging out there. We finished that gateway on Ybor 2, and the sign money, the 25,000, we'll just put that into just signage, okay? That'll just be put into one of the categories here. The Central Ybor parking garage window improvements, we talked about that early. I put in 90,000. I wasn't sure if y'all want me to take that out for now, I can.
Say that again, I'm sorry.
Ybor 2, when you're looking at Central Ybor parking garage window box improvements, I was anticipating, I didn't know what was going to happen, but I said to Corey, I'll put it there as a planning number. But if we decide not to do that, which is perfectly fine, we'll just reabsorb it, reallocate it to something else. Okay. Any questions about infrastructure and capital projects on
I have a question.
both CRAs?
Both for CRA 1 and for 2. So one of the things that we hear about at HINCA all the time is that Ybor is a pedestrian district with a bit of a sidewalk problem. So I feel like if we don't have a category for sidewalks, I've been on this board for feel like decades, and I don't think we've ever done one sidewalk. It's always wait for the developer to do their project, and then the developer puts in the sidewalk, and that hasn't happened on 3rd Avenue, 4th Avenue, all over.
Correct.
Train crossings, things like that. I feel like both CRA 1 and CRA 2 needs to have a sidewalk budget.
Okay.
So that we can march in that direction.
I mean, it's interesting because this came up, I think, in another CRA district Courtney was telling me about, and their absence of something similar. So my first response would be, I love the idea, but I need to make sure it's not a basic service. And I think, in other words, we need to check with our legal. I want to make sure we can spend money in that way. We know we need it, and I know where there's an absence of sidewalks, like there's areas I know near El Porto, they reached out to me, where there's just grass and there's like nothing there, and then they ask for pretty pavers and all that good stuff. But so let me just double check on that. But if we were to do a sidewalk program, we would take that money out of district improvements, okay? And we would get a contractor to do that. But that is just, it's one of those things that sidewalks are a basic, I need to just check on that, okay? But I'll put it down. Let's just add that under the infrastructure and capital. Actually, I think we're going to add it. Well, let me ask the projects team where they want it, because we could do it under quality of life.
Sure sounds like infrastructure to me, but.
Okay, district sidewalk enhancements.
Brenda, when you mean it's a basic program, are you saying that is in the budget somewhere else in the city to?
It could be.
Is that what you're
Yes.
referring to?
If it's already in a CIP with the city and it's within 3 years, we can't spend money on it. But I need to check that. A lot of time, and this is all throughout all the CRAs. So,
So that sounds a little different than what I was thinking you were saying. So it's only if it's what would be considered should be considered a basic service that the city provides.
It is.
But it's,
well, this
regardless of that, if there's not a capital project defined, we could spend money on
And
it.
how you do that, this is the tricky part. You can say, I'm expediting the schedule.
That's what I mean.
And
yes.
we did this with a lot of things in the past. So if you expedite something, you're making it an enhancement. It's over and beyond what the city could normally do.
Exactly.
But I do want to check the CIP, because if it's already in the CIP, which is, y'all know what that is, the capital improvement plan for the city of Tampa, then it's already on schedule, basically. But anyway, thank you, David. I'm going to add that because I think that is a need. And I think y'all agree with that. Anything else under infrastructure and
Yeah, we got
capital?
some more down here.
Okay, what you got?
Mine's a weird one, or just a funny one. Centennial Park, the public art for 1% there.
Yes.
That was 1% of what, of any improvements that are being done, or
So
1% of what?
it's 1% of 350. Well, it's actually 350. It's, no, it's, we're adding in, okay, it would be 10,000, no, hold on. It's a 6, I'm sorry. It's a 1% of the 650. Oh, my mind. So we didn't accommodate it under the 300,000, so I added it under, just together there. For three.
So that's just the improvements, right? So 1% of the improvement or the plan or the park, I'm sorry, I guess.
The way the, no, that's a great question.
Well, my question is there a 1% to do public art in the other park?
If there's a project going on.
There's a project going on.
Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely. So in other words, tell like we build a $5 million park. See, that number's going to change. So as the budget goes up, we're supposed to be tracking 1% of that, and it's supposed to be going to public art. So I have one in West Tampa, it's 3.9 million. Ray Park, it's almost $50,000 or something for public art. So it's just to ensure that you're putting, we already do public art, a lot of it in Ybor anyway, but this would be ensuring that that's happening and you're tracking it. And so we're complying with the ordinance.
What I was going to ask was on the gateway and wayfinding project. The gateway's done, like you said.
Yes.
And you're gonna take that 20 sign, then go ahead and put it toward the signage. But you do have wayfinding projects, speaking of the park, what about getting signage to get people to the park or other things we need the CRA to, or even south of the railroad tracks?
So you see where it
What's the
says
difference
districts.
between signage and wayfinding.
Well, but that's a great question because we toss this around. I want to create broader categories here, like district signage improvements. One thing that Ybor City has is y'all have a master sign program. You have everything from the street name signs to the overhead signs, which y'all know are falling apart, the overheads, to the destination signs, okay, the ones that say, welcome to historic Ybor City. And then you have the directional signs, the ones that say, go here for the park or go here.
Yes.
So we can do all of that under signage. And so, because it's part of the master sign program, even the kiosks that are in the garage are part of the program. So if we can, let me ask the projects team, but we can, right now, when we get the new contractor on board for the signage, the scope of work is really to complete the street name signs first, but we need to look at those other signs too, the other sign types. So why don't we beef up that category and add to that scope, okay? All right. Anything else under?
Yeah, Brenda, I have a quick question before we leave this category. We had the, Trees for Tampa group come in and talk about all the trees that would be in Ybor. And there are a significant number of trees, which Ybor definitely needs. But the big question with the city is, okay, how are they going to take care of the trees, especially in the early days? Is there any way that the CRA, if the city doesn't pay for it,
A beautification program?
No fund maintenance of the trees
maintenance.
after they've been put in,
Yeah.
so like supplemental watering.
Because the mayor has already committed that the city will provide. the
Yeah,
trees.
they're gonna do the
But the
trees.
big bugaboo right now is, okay, how
I
are we
know,
gonna keep them
how are they
alive?
gonna lie, yeah. Let me explore that because I would love to have a beautification program that could take care of it, but mind you, they put in trees today and still 8 years later, someone's got to be, there should be a plan for that as part of that planning. That's not CRA, but maybe we could help with that. Maybe that could be a partnership they do. They're doing the trees. We kind of help water them. The problem is it may fall into a maintenance category.
Well, and then the other question that came up is the block by block. Would they add watering to their?
Well, we'll have to address that when we renew their contract.
Well, I heard that. I didn't hear
Which, by the way, we
We might
skip
be
block
able
by
to
block in
task
our.
No, we're not there yet.
Organization
We're at quality of
of
life.
trees.
That's at the end. Yeah.
No, I meant in terms of their report.
He's here. It was-
Not the board.
I know Steven's here. That's up
Yeah,
to y'all.
about truck and trailer and all that stuff.
I think we ran this up to Flagpole and Clayton, right?
Yeah.
You said that like you'd have to modify the services agreement, but you've got the trailer, it's the same thing as the pressure washer, you're just not putting.
Yeah, we got to step down the pressure, that's
Yeah.
all.
We can look at, that may be an avenue. But we'll look at it.
Is the tank, because we only hold clean water in that. Well, I guess we are just using water.
Yeah.
Let's switch it.
All right, so
I'm so fertilized minded.
Trees for
It's kind of
Tampa.
funny we're talking about this because my last job, this is actually. So, yeah, it's not a big deal at all. It's an easy fix.
well, it's all tied to a services agreement. So we can look at a couple different avenues. I've put it on my list here, trees for Tampa and the watering of the trees to stabilize them and et cetera. Okay. Okay, anything else under capital projects? All right, let's keep moving. Transportation mobility. This is a pretty easy category because it's all streetcar. So as y'all know, you did add extra money in FY25 to take care of the streetcar and keep the fares free. For the purposes of next year, and by the way, that number is reflected under the green categories where we added money there. For the purposes of next year, we are planning, as we always plan, which is to keep it at its standard support level, which was last year. So we were giving 188,000 for Ybor 1 towards the streetcar, and then 37,000 in Ybor 2. They have not come back with an ask. I know they were looking at a couple different other avenues to support the streetcar and the free fares. So I think for budgeting purposes, we just keep it to what we've normally done.
Where did we shift this funds from? I'm just reminding.
What's that?
Where do we-
From
For the parking. For the
Oh.
bus park.
Thank you.
Yeah, so some came from district improvements and some came from the Hart bus stops.
Thank you.
All right. Moving right along, community policing. This is something we have supported for several years, the Ybor City Task Force and Ybor Patrol. As y'all see, they have about $500,000 that this is added over 2 years. This is about $250 a year we were putting for additional police presence, a special squad to work the nights. They are kind of behind on the billing. So right now, there's money in the budget. So I didn't add any extra there. There's been a billing delay, but anyway, one thing, we keep it as a line item. We also have funded video cameras, machinery. The reason you see a couple different breakouts of that is because we have to use different cost codes for each of them. So those are the kind of activities that we have funded under community policing. Community policing is obviously permitted in the statute as a standalone, so we can spend money on those efforts. And the Ybor City Task Force at the bottom is really code enforcement. They have really done a lot of extra work, as y'all know. They're probably doing much more than we definitely pay them. For many, many years, we paid them $14,007. I don't know why the $7 was there, but we added a little bit more because they came with some timesheets saying this is what they've really been doing, which is still subsidized. So that 20,000 we're adding to that is really to help pay for that. I'm talking the a code enforcement person that's working at the nighttime shifts. Okay, so that's what that is. Any questions about community policing? Okay, moving right along. And lastly is quality of life and community improvement. Our CRA is more heavily focused on programs versus projects. Well, we're actually balanced, I would say. Some of the districts don't have as many programs. We have the YES team. We have block by block. So we spend money on them. So let's go through that line items here. The archway operations utility, this was an agreement that was made with TICO to keep those archways lit. It is actually subsidized so that we've been paying somewhere around $2,500 a month. And that's what that figure is there to keep that archway looking bright and alive and, operating. The second thing is the Community Ambassador and Clean Team Program. This is what we've been spending. We have it split between Ybor 1 and Ybor 2. There also is general fund money that goes into the YES team because there was cleaning that is being done. It was prior to the CRA. So there's a level, there's a whole split out, but this is assuming that they're eligible now for a renewal, which will give them a CPI of 2.8%. So I added that number in, which is 462 for Ybor 1. And for Ybor 2, it is 253, 218. And that is pretty exact to the number on that. And then under that is district improvements. You see that I didn't add anything there and no zero because that is the category on both of our budgets that we will put any excessive money into. So as the final tally comes in, we'll put money into that category. That is for future CIP projects or programs or wherever we want to put it within our budget. And then last but not least is intensive pressure washing. We have had total pressure washing on board for several years. We're actually piggybacking on a county contract that expires in January. They are the ones that go out and do the heavy pressure washing. Yes Team does do pressure washing. They do more spot cleaning. This total pressure washing has a schedule where they do all the avenues, all the the cross streets, and special, they keep our district's very clean, but that's what they've been doing, a whole schedule in the district on a weekly basis. So that's what we've been spending on that contract, and that is also accommodating a 2.8%. However, because I said January their contract is up, we will either we'll revisit this, maybe either go out to bid, or maybe we would talk to ESG about doing some intensive pressure washing. So, and that, my friends, is the budget, and it zeroes out.
Questions?
Intensive pressure washing, I know where it occurs in CRA 1. In CRA 2, where does that happen?
It does. It is. There's a schedule. I can provide that for y'all next meeting. I just don't have it in front of me.
I mean, other than the park garage.
But they do mainly, and it's not, if you see the budget, yes, it's down in the, yeah, we only have, it's a lot less in Ybor 2 right now because we just didn't have enough money. But I will get that schedule for you where they go down 7th Avenue. I know they go east of 22nd Street because that's, part of a district. And I believe they do the side streets on that. Is there a need?
Well, my question is I've never seen them doing any of that work in CRA 2.
Do you know why? They do it at 3 in the morning. Are you up at 3 in the morning walking around?
We would know if they're.
But yeah, actually, they shouldn't be doing 3 in the morning
They
in the
do it a
neighborhood.
little later than that.
Yeah, it's neighborhood. They do.
That's why I
Yes.
question, why are we
We have
pressure
clean
washing
site.
the curbs on Palm Avenue? That
Yeah.
doesn't strike me as something
Yeah.
that we need to spend money on.
Yeah, I just assume this contract that I'll be managing it. So all these questions just direct to me, but we do have a little money there for them for Ybor 2. And mainly, I believe it is the commercial corridor there, which is 7th Avenue east of 22nd Street.
So it's CRA 2 just paying into the general fund, but it's not.
Well, no, we
occurring in
pay,
CRA 2.
right. So no, this is a contract. So we have a separate contract, our Ybor CRA. And it's for, that's the cost share. So a lot of these programs we do in both districts. So we just cost it out, like Ybor 2 would be 10,000 and the other one's like whatever, 253, because they do a lot more heavy washing in Ybor 1. But we can look at their schedule. Again, it's going to be up for renewal. So I'll be able to.
I see it happening. I just didn't realize it was a cost share. I thought it was actually occurring in CRA 2, the intensive pressure washing.
It's
It
supposed
is.
to be.
It is.
It's supposed to be.
It is. It's east of 22nd, David. On 7th.
7th
On 7th. Yeah, the commercial corridor. I know they do that whole thing because I see a bill for it. And I need to come out at 3 in the morning to watch them.
Let's put a camera out there. So
Any other questions about the budget?
4:30.
Is it 4? It's 4:30.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
4:30.
They were late.
I actually had a question, just a thought here, going back to community policing. Right now, we're awaiting the billing on the 504,000 or whatever. Do we think it's actually going to be that, or will there be money left over?
The Tampa police actually went to city council CRA board. I think they're spending about $1 million in Ybor alone. And so this is a portion of what there hasn't been an ask formally for them to come back and say, hey, pay for the whole million. We don't have that kind of money, but we do participate with them. We have a very good rapport with them, as y'all know. And that's just something that was worked out. Again, I have to share with y'all, if it comes in, we have been given $250 a year. Okay, generally speaking. So if it comes back with our additional money and we need to reprogram some money into that and they catch up on the billing, then we'll be, we'll be supporting that. We'll be asking to support that again for Ybor for FY '26.
No, that's fine. My question was, if it should not happen to go to the 500,000, could we then allocate some back to what they're calling the machineries and equipment? We have talked about having the cameras and the signboards.
Oh, yeah. So
I'm just saying if there is anything to float around, that might be something to talk about
Yeah.
next year.
I'll have a conversation with them. Just so y'all know, the budget's flexible. Within the categories, you can move easily. If I skip categories and I go from like the X to the top, I need to do something called a budget reallocation.
Yeah.
And that's a process through, going to CRA board on it. But we try to get it as close as we can, when we're doing these things. And, I think we're in pretty good shape.
Do we need a motion to approve the proposed budgets for CRA
Yeah, I
1 and 2?
appreciate it because it's going forward
Okay.
with your comments and subject to audit.
Anybody want to
I
make
move
that?
what you just said.
Oh.
We accept the budget with comments and.
I appreciate it.
I really.
All right.
Can I amend? Can?
Yeah, when you want to do it, okay.
I
friendly?
just want to make sure that we are actually capturing some of these comments. Is there a way, I know we don't have a CAC meeting in May. Is there a way that it could circulate an email just saying like, based upon
Yeah.
the comments, here's the feedback on your questions regarding the budget?
Uh-huh. There was a motion to approve the FY '26 budget, proposed draft budget. It was Michael and Olivia? Okay. Oh, yeah. With the addition of, and the things you mentioned, and let's just shoot through those real quick so I'm clear. Through my notes here. Okay, the additions are going to be, and I'll just list them out, under affordable housing for Ybor 2. We're adding unit creation and RFOs, okay? All right, that's one. Ybor 2, okay. Under capital projects, infrastructure and capital projects, we're adding district sidewalk enhancements. Is that okay?
Mm-hmm.
And that will be in both Ybor 1 and 2. Okay.
Just to clarify the word enhancements, I would be talking about new sidewalks.
I'm going to say improvements.
Okay.
I'm trying to use that good word that the legislature likes.
Cool.
Okay. All right. Improvements, district sidewalk improvements. That'll cover it all. Okay. That would be for Ybor 1 and 2 under capital projects. What was the last thing?
Trees.
Oh. I would talk, okay, how about under quality of life and Ybor 1 and 2, and then I was going to look to the yes team, to include a district, throw this out if y'all like this, a district beautification program. I'm not sure if that'll fly, but I will try it, which would include beautification, could be trees. Yeah.
The only problem with that language is, that sounds like we're planting the trees. And that's not what this is. It's, if you want to get technical about it, the trees can be considered infrastructure because they should be strategic assets for the city of Tampa, and this could be infrastructure maintenance.
I think I'd be more comfortable seeing it there. This is about sustainability. It's a
Well,
real.
let me look to see how we can address this, because really it almost would be better if we were paying going in and someone else paying to water them. But there maybe it's a sustainability
That might
program.
be a good way to couch it, because beautification is not gonna float.
I don't think so either.
Trees are really the mayor's campaign, so you think she wouldn't mind seeing, not that she's approving this budget, but she wouldn't mind seeing the word tree. Like we're basically supporting her initiative. But
So give me some other
I
wording.
think sustainability is really the key.
You want tree in it. You want sustainability.
Steve wants to go home.
And Steve wants to go home.
No,
Okay.
it's fine.
Tree
I don't
sustainability.
leave until 8.
Program.
We go till 6, so it's all good.
or maybe landscaping sustainability program. Let me toss this around with some folks
The
that,
urban tree canopy sustainability.
yeah, something, that's what I need.
There you go, there's our urban.
Or community tree canopy.
Okay, I got it. Let me explore that for the right terminology. And again, I need to make sure our legal department says that's fine to be able to spend on that, but let's figure that one out. And then there's also the option of maybe
It's not, we can.
having our existing contractor expanding their scope to handle it, which would be even cleaner.
So we're still under amendment to the motion.
Correct. We haven't had discussion yet.
I think we've had some discussion.
But technically, you haven't called for it yet. We haven't
Right.
proposed.
Any other comments or questions at all?
Yeah, the Central Ybor parking garage windows. We're
Oh.
gonna take that out.
Okay, I'm gonna remove the 90,000 there.
Yeah.
Okay, and do y'all want me to put it up? Well, I just put it down to district improvements.
Yeah, I think that's what you said.
Yeah.
Yeah. Fine. All right,
Any other questions or amendments? All in favor, say aye. Any opposition? Motion carries. Budget
thank
approved with
you.
amendments.
Thank you very much, you guys. Thanks for walking through that. Okay.
Legislative update.
I don't have one other than the fact that, it's not over. May 2nd, which is next week, right? It's legislature was next week. We will know more. I do know one thing. It went to the Commerce Committee last week and it was pulled from the agenda. So very unusual. So there is a lot of, concern about the existing, the bill in its current form. So, that's what I know, but I'll, as soon as I know something, I'll probably just shoot y'all an email. Okay. And I'm giving y'all an email update anyway next month because we're not having a meeting.
Has the FRA said anything? What's their thoughts on it yet?
Just oppose. It's just a call to action to keep calling your legislature,
They don't go feel.
saying no. There is an amendment that's circulating around, and the amendment that's circulating is stating that instead of just saying, don't support any new projects, put in what exactly you don't want to support. Like, do not, in other words, the no's, like no special events, no da-da-da-da, that kind of thing. So that's kind of the stance, was to try to get that amendment, moving forward with it, but yeah. Anyway, I wish I had more, but that's what I know.
Right. David pointed out there wasn't any agenda item of yesterday. Would you like to give us a report since you were nice enough to stay here for the whole meeting and give us all these great reports and everything?
Yeah, it's not a problem. I was glad to spend time with you guys. First, do you guys have any questions or anything? Any issues or anything that you have to discuss?
Thank you for stepping in when the tractor trailer, we had a scary situation where the semi tractor trailer got stuck on the train tracks and.
Oh, yes. So I was not actually here. I was off that day. One of our ambassadors, Rashad, was headed back to our office for break and came across that by complete accident. Rashad did a great job. I did not respond because I was off. The phone was not next to me.
I was speaking generally.
Yeah, no, he did a great job. He did a great job. So he was able to get a hold of who we normally need to get a hold of and stop everything from coming down. It's a pretty active track right there.
Yeah.
So the big thing I want to talk about is we haven't had much changes from the last report that we had. Our infrastructure cleans are up significantly. So we're not only cleaning up during the day, but we're also cleaning up on night shift as well. That includes bags of trash, and our bills and stickers removed. We've had a decrease of those in almost 30%. Like I said, the infrastructure cleans have gone up. Biohazard removals, we've had a decrease of by 35%. Trash bag collections, we've had an increase of 164%. We had Pride this year. There's a lot of trash removed. We had no issues whatsoever. It was extremely smooth. And that's pretty much all I have.
Great. Any questions?
Actually, I do have
Please.
that.
Go ahead.
People from Pride were really happy with you guys.
It's my favorite event.
So.
Period.
Thanks to positive feedback and
Yeah.
everyone was so friendly and asked questions or directions and stuff.
So I brought my entire family out there. I do not bring family members to, the district at all. Nothing against it. But this year was kind of different. And I actually participated in Pride this year, not as a Yes Team employee, but just as a regular citizen. Had a great time. Got to introduce the family to a lot of people that I know in the district. I know a lot of people. I was in St. Pete a few weeks ago, walking down the street, and someone yelled out my name in downtown St. Pete. No idea who it was. I knew it was for me.
You're kind of a recognizable.
Yeah, very recognizable. And now it's even gotten over to social media. So it's a little weird for me. But I'm used to that, you know. Yeah, this past month has been, went very smooth. And like I said, that Pride event, it was extremely good. So.
Okay, any other questions?
I have related to the semi incident under new business, if we could reach out to mobility and basically what I learned from that experience, and I almost fell over when I realized that we've been working for decades trying to get truck traffic off of 7th, off of 22nd, off of all these side streets with signs and everything. They're like we are. They just look at GPS, but they have specific trucking GPS that they use. And so this guy was just following his trucking GPS and drove right onto the train track. And he was just like, I had no way of knowing, you know, and I was like, well, there's signs everywhere, but I think mobility really needs to get with the data provider and say, like, you cannot have truck traffic on these specific roads. I think that's going to be way more effective than a sign that no one's looking at. So if they could look into that and maybe eventually do a report to this.
I saw the post on it.
Not the first time that's happened.
Oh, yeah.
So actually, the last few times it's happened, it hasn't been right there at 15th. It was usually down like 17th or 19th or 20th.
Yeah.
And that's even hairier.
Right. I've seen car carriers
Yes.
get stuck on there.
Yes.
Yeah.
So they got stuck on the tracks?
And this is at 15th and
This was 17th.
17th and what's
Sixth, like right in front of the brand new Miles building. He was coming from 7th going south and just bottomed out on the track, just not even close to getting off of it. It took TMD windows to come around. I flagged them. I'm like, I know you guys, you have a forklift. They came around the back of the semi, picked the entire back up and
Some quality come here.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know.
Semis aren't supposed to be on 7th at all, but obviously for deliveries they're doing it anyway. But really big semis definitely should not be.
There's just a lot of construction going on.
Yeah.
How are they getting around that?
It's usually on 4th, 5th, 4th, and 3rd. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
David, could you send me a little email, just a little for that information so I can get it to the right
Yeah,
people?
I can do
Just, I know there's a social post I saw on it, but something so I can just make sure the facts are right.
Yeah.
And that way and I don't know what they can do, but there should be something because, you know, I'm shocked the truck didn't take out. Did it actually turn off 7th Avenue onto that street?
Off of 7th Avenue.
So there's no poles that are missing.
So another thing.
That's crazy.
That you want to think about is as we brick the rest of 7th Avenue, the weight of an 18-wheeler, if it's really heavy, can do quite a bit of damage to the brick.
It's not, it's actually a non-truck road.
Yeah.
But nobody pays attention to it. But that's a good point. Let's see what they can do, what contacts they have, and to be able to change the trucking GPS. Oh, God.
Any other new business? Announcements, next CRA board meeting, Thursday, May 8th at 9 a.m. That's still on?
Yes, absolutely. And Ybor, CAC Chair Rich Simmons will be giving the CAC update. They invite a chair of a CRA each month. So he's on board for that.
And do not forget the May YCDC meeting. I'll ask Rich to send out a reminder notice. And the next CAC meeting, June 24th at 4 p.m. Any other announcements anybody wishes to make? All right. We're adjourned.
Thank you.
thought he was gonna slam it.
I usually do.
I thought you were gonna get it.
I usually do.